Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Lauren.
I'm Barb.
And Barb. So we're here to talk to you about your reintroduction week, which we decided we want to rename to your testing week.
Yes.
Trial week. Try it out week.
Yeah.
So this will be the week that you will get to trial gluten and dairy, and we're going to talk about the best ways of being able to do that for those of you that are ready. You're still going to want to be focusing on your clean eating, clean program, so the idea of it isn't to go crazy and start eating pizza for every meal tomorrow.
And throw all your hard work out the window.
Absolutely. The idea is that hopefully by now you're enjoying vegetables more and liking your morning smoothies and kind of enjoying some of what you're doing, and you're willing to be continuing that forward as part of your normal lifestyle. And the idea of the reintroduction week is to try to figure out if your immune system is having any reactions to gluten and dairy. Specifically are two of the most common immune triggers. I think Dr. Hunger calls it trigger foods, right?
Yep.
Trigger foods.
Mm-hmm. Trigger foods.
So in his book, he actually suggests that you do 2 days clean gut, which you've been probably following. He suggests that you do 2 days of introducing gluten, and then 2 days of clean, and then 2 days of dairy, and then 2 days of clean. So Barb and I like to do things a little different because we can't follow the rules. So
No, I think we gained experience by doing it ourselves. So we know there are other ways to do things that might bring up those detective clues a little bit quicker for you and a little bit clearer.
it's a much better way to put
Yes.
it. Yes, that's what we mean.
It is.
So we are suggesting, instead of a 2 day on, 2 day off kind of rotation, to do 1 day on and then 3 days off. So if you remember, we've talked about it can take up to 72 hours for your immune system to react to food. And those reactions can be varying in how they can present for people. They can be bloating and digestive issues.
Mm-hmm.
It can be headaches.
Mm-hmm. It can be maybe a little congestion or a runny nose. Those are your most common ones. It could be maybe you might find a hormonal imbalance.
Brain fog.
Mm-hmm.
Brain doesn't work.
No.
Yeah, I was like, there's probably
There could be some
more.
skin issues as well.
She's gonna say that.
Yep. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So there are varying ways that your body can present with symptoms that may not necessarily usually be easily correlated with what you're eating. Mood issues are big, depression, anxiety, things like that as well. So we're big on journaling and keeping logs, and if you haven't been doing it, that's okay, but at this point, this is a really, really great time to be keeping track of what you're eating and how you're feeling, so that you can really be able to pinpoint and hone in on paying attention to what your body's telling you and interpreting it into being able to get to the root sources of why some of those things might be there. So,
Yes. So the idea is, if you're going to reintroduce the first day, you choose gluten. Everybody goes, yay, slice of bread. And so Dr. Unger likes it if you would have gluten each of your meals. So at breakfast, for example, you would include a piece of toast. That can, of course, continue to have your grass-fed butter or your ghee, but not jam. Because then you're introducing two triggers, the other one being sugar.
guess you don't get to reintroduce sugar this week.
No, not yet.
Sorry, that's next week.
And then for lunch, maybe you would have a small pasta. For dinner, maybe, what would you add? Rice? Something, I don't know.
It's like, we aren't big gluten eaters.
We're not.
I think most people miss their bread.
Most people miss their bread.
Roll, pasta.
So, yeah, a classic example of not a way to reintroduce gluten would be, don't have a slice of pizza for dinner, because that's two triggers, dairy and gluten as well.
Or a pastry, sugar.
A pastry, sugar, yeah, absolutely. And gluten has different forms. You can keep it simple with pasta. Then you could alter it and go into other grains, which might show you have different triggers, like corn is a common trigger for a lot of people when they reintroduce grains. So you might want to keep it I guess add wheat for the time being, and then try corn a little later, because that's kind of hard on the gut. Corn
Yeah.
a lot of people have problems processing corn.
Yep.
Yeah. So you would do that your first day, and then you would go back to your clean for the next 3 days.
3 days.
And keep a log of how you feel. I mean, a little happy dance when you eat your slice of toast, your bread, or whatever you had. Or maybe, or the feelings you had going, doesn't taste quite as good as I remembered it tasting. Or hoping that you will choose a high quality bread, high quality pasta. We're not eating crud here. We're eating good quality stuff that you've learned with the clean eats diet. So
Yeah, so that's the other thing too, is that if you have been following clean, you're probably not taking in as many of the additives and preservatives and things that you're going to find in a lot of processed packaged foods. So if you look at the labels of, those loaves of most of the breads, I can't even think of names, and maybe I shouldn't for legal reasons anyway, start bashing on brands of bread. But you're going to see a lot of other things listed other than wheat. So sourcing, again, the cleanest types that you can are going to be really helpful in getting, if you are going to go for a piece of bread, try to find one that's maybe locally made from a baker where it's fresh, it doesn't have a 3-month, 3-year expiration date, and they're using the basic ingredients that you need to make bread and not adding in a whole bunch of other stuff.
because they pulled everything out,
Right.
and then they've added in to make it last 3 months.
Heat it, cook
Yeah.
it, process it, and
Yeah.
then make it healthy by synthetic nutrients.
Yeah. So yes, definitely try to keep your sources as clean as possible. That's a continuing mantra I think we're going to have throughout this, is clean is all encompassing. So that would be that. And then see how you feel after those 3 days.
Yeah, it can take time. Some people will, if you're very sensitive and if you're very in touch with how your body is feeling, you might notice something immediately after you eat it. So like congestion and things like that, that's the most common one with introducing dairy. But sometimes you'll notice it right after you eat it. And sometimes, like I said, it can take a couple of days and you may not be, able to exactly pinpoint it or target to the bread that you had for breakfast 2 days ago. But if you're having trouble sleeping or you just seem more irritable and agitated, your system's more upregulated, that those are all indications that your immune system is actually reacting to gluten. So instead of having to pay and go do blood work and testing to see if you're sensitive or allergic to gluten, your body's going to let you know oftentimes if it's been clean for a while and the immune system still doesn't like the addition of gluten into your system. Usually people are going to be able to tell from the symptoms if you're paying attention within that 72-hour period. And what that means at that point is if you are having reactions, then that means your immune system is being triggered and you need to probably stay away from it for another period of time. And I think he might go into that too, of how frequently you can try to reintroduce. I would usually give it at least like 3-week periods before you try to reintroduce again. And ideally, your immune system, and if your gut can heal appropriately, then you shouldn't be having major reactions or triggers to foods. And that's ultimately where we want to get you to. Some people will be able to do it right off the bat. Other people might need to take a little bit more time. So if your system reacts and you have symptoms, please listen to it and continue to try to have that out of your diet and lifestyle until your body and immune system are a little more happy with it.
And it may be the case is once you've reintroduced something, you may find that, well, I can only eat a gluten product a couple times a week. Anything over that kind of sends my stomach in a spin or something like that. I'm like, well, that's okay. Just recognize it. Your body's telling you what it needs to tell you, and we're just trying to help you learn to listen to it. So
80-20, you should be able to enjoy things in moderation.
Yes.
So if you remain clean, you should be able to enjoy whatever your favorite things are, whether it be cheese or that piece of bread. You should be able to enjoy them every once in a while and it not deteriorate your health or tear you apart. That's where we want you.
Yeah. So now after you've tried the gluten, then your next trial will be dairy. And dairy, as we discussed between the two of us, doesn't mean a bowl of ice cream.
That has sugar.
So
No ice cream yet.
A great dairy to go to would be number one, a good unflavored Greek yogurt, or what was the other one? Cheese, grass-fed, good quality slice of cheese. And that doesn't mean 2 cups of cheese on top of your whatever. It just means a slice of cheese or 2, and try that. Keep the wine to the side until we get to try alcohol later.
That's right. Alcohol's not reintroduced either.
Not yet either. No. But that cheese, if you do reintroduce it, you may find it tasting pretty darn good. And that's all you need is just a couple slices, and you're a happy camper. And if you don't have a trigger, then you're good to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and triggers may be, for some people, it might bring on respiratory issues, dairy.
That's mine.
Mm-hmm. Or major digestive issues, like can't get to the loo fast enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's from Belgium.
It's more genteel. But anyway, so I mean, those are 2 areas that you might find different than gluten. And, or I don't know, what else? Maybe some, also skin.
Bowels, yeah. Bowels is a great one we should talk about.
Or I mean, some triggers for people were eczema.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so again, skin issues with dairy. Or you may have no triggers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, if you can try to source, as clean as you possibly can, that's great. So trying to find cheeses, or I guess you could introduce a glass of milk. That'd be intense, but
you could.
Technically that counts.
Yeah.
Add a little milk to your smoothie if you want, a little cheese on your salad. If you can try to source from animals that haven't been loaded up with antibiotics and hormones,
mm-hmm.
And things like that, have more humane, natural conditions to live in that are grass-fed
mm-hmm.
and grass-finished,
mm-hmm.
Then you're truly just introducing the dairy component of it, and then you're not getting all of the other added
with
junk in it that may be triggering as well. So a cleaner read.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to introduce gluten for 1 day, and then back to your clean for 3 days. And then dairy, you can swap them around if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Dairy for a day, and then back to clean again for 3 days. So that will take you through the next week of what you'll be doing food-wise. Supplement-wise, you'll hopefully continue on the things that you have been on, finishing up bottles that you already have. During the reintroduction period, I definitely would prefer there not be a whole lot of variation in supplement-wise what you're doing, so we can really pinpoint that it's that you introduced dairy and isn't that you stopped taking B vitamins, for instance. So try to keep everything else as consistent as possible that you are doing, so we can get clear indications of what the food is doing. And then next week we will talk about being able to incorporate other fun things like sugar and changing up some of the supplements and how to continue on from there in your clean lifestyle.
Yeah. There's a whole new world out there.
There is. And we're going to introduce you to it slowly.
Slowly. Yeah.
It can be overwhelming.
No. It's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
We like it. We've stuck with it.
Yeah.
We're still smiling. Okay.
All right.
Do you have anything else important?
I don't think so right now. Well, I could say if you start reintroducing some kinds of grains, I would encourage you to look beyond the wheat and the corn. There are lots of other options out there. Millet would be one, quinoa, buckwheat, not really a grain. Sorghum is another one, amaranth, teff, lots and lots of grains out there. And funnily enough, probably not been so genetically modified as our lovely corns and wheats.
Not mass production.
So, peruse those grocery shelves and see what else is out there. Expand your horizons.
Mm-hmm.
And if you reintroduce the rice into your diet, remember we talked about soaking 24 hours in advance. It removes the enzymes from it, makes it easier for the body to digest. And the same thing for legumes, for your beans, same thing. Soak those before you cook them. Just makes your body a little bit happier. And that's all I have to say.
Nuts too, right?
Nuts as well, I know. It's just, it's naturally occurring, and it's just their way of protecting the inner kernel, but your body doesn't do well with it. So give it a little help.
But you can't do all that at once, remember?
No. Just
these are previews
of
what's to come.
So what's to come. See? So much more.
So much to offer. Okay.
Okay.
Well, if anybody has any questions, you know how to find us. And make sure you're keeping a log, paying attention to what your body is trying to tell you. And if you need any help interpreting what your body is telling you, we're here to help you.
Absolutely.
So thank you, guys. Thank you, Barb.
Thank you, Lauren.
Welcome.
Till the next time.
Signing off.